Hey guys, welcome. I got
Hey,
Shannon here. I
Hey,
got
what's
George.
up?
Welcome to our first episode. We had to go through a lot of technical difficulties in the last few days on how to set this up. But
It was
I
a lot of work.
yes, and so what we're doing here is doing our first official coronavirus episode, each of us from our respectful homes. So Shannon's in her brand new home, and George is in his brand new home, and I am where I was usually in my condo apartment area. So, we're doing that. All right. So, before we get started, I would love to. So, we're going to talk one at a time because there's going to be a lot of like mixed volume noises. So, you'll hear kind of pauses if you're watching this, and that's a good thing because that means I'm not talking over Shannon or George or vice versa. So we're gonna first talk about how our coronavirus experience has been going for the last few weeks. The last big review we did was Onward. Our spoiler video just went up about last weekend because Onward is actually on home video right now, and you can watch it and download it and play it on Blu-ray or whatever streaming service you have. And it's gonna be on April 3rd, Disney Plus. You're going to be able to watch it on Disney Plus on April 3rd, which is exciting too. There's a lot of big changes happened. We did our review for Onward. Everything was fine. We were like, oh, some weird virus in China, and then like the next week, everything shut down. And now we've just kind of been trying to catch up and figure out how to continue to do this. We've taken a lot of requests from people on ideas. We're doing two movies here that was requested a lot. I mean, a lot on our YouTube video comment section, on our Geekdom Movies website, on our Facebook channel. You guys, the top two movies that was most requested, one was called Outbreak. Never even heard of this movie, but everybody was like, go see Outbreak. So I popped it in. It's a movie with 1995 about a virus that takes over the world and crazy things happen. It's insane. It's completely insane. And then another movie is with Will Smith and Tom Holland, called what was the movie called? Oh crap, Spies in Disguise, where Will Smith plays a spy and Tom Holland is this kid who invents technological gadgets that can help him, but not like in a deadly way. He makes things that are more safe for not hurting people, but still doing the job of saving the world. So really interesting movies to talk about. And so right now I'm going to throw it over to Shannon. Shannon, tell us about your coronavirus experience and what's that like and what's been new the last 2 weeks.
What's up, everybody? Hello. Apparently I live a very isolated lifestyle because basically nothing about my life has changed at all. I've been holed up in my brand new house here and remodeling everything. So I've been doing floors and kitchens and just completely remodeling. So I've basically been isolated already, so this was a very easy transition for an introvert like myself. I know it's been really hard on some people. I've been lucky. My company is running up and strong because we're medical, so there's been no problems there for me. But I know it's been very hard on some people, so my heart goes out to you, and I hope you're doing well and that we can provide a distraction during these difficult times by talking about Spies in Disguise a lot.
And Outbreak. All right, George.
Let's distract everyone from the coronavirus by talking about the Mahatma virus.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to George. George, tell us how your 2 weeks have been and what's new in your world.
well, to be honest, there's been some interesting changes, uh, but not in regards to work, which is kind of shocking. Work has pretty much been the same as usual. There's other than that, I honestly like lifestyle changes. There wasn't a whole lot either for me because I had basically been living isolated because I work night shift anyhow, and so I was finally about ready to start coming out and going to events. Then all of a sudden the coronavirus happened, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll just keep living in the house like I was before.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like it's been a whirlwind. We got approved for early movie screenings and we had a movie lined up. So George and Shannon were able to go see I Spy. It's been taken off the list. Like they got to see it a month early. We did an early review, there is. I don't think that movie's gonna come out for another year. So if you're interested in and really wanted to see I Spy, unfortunately, I have no idea when they're gonna release it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
George and I got to see it like a month early, and then probably now we saw it like a year early. I think we saw it a year and a half early now. It was cute too. But it's
Was
gonna be super dated by the time it comes out because the soundtrack is like very 2018.
oh wow. Yeah, so we got our we got our second email, which I was really excited to see. We were gonna see A Quiet Place 2 a week in advance. Um, and I remember I texted George and Shannon about seeing it 4 days, 5 days early and getting the review up. One of our first big movies that we were gonna see early in advance, and it got pulled. It was just gone. And
That one
then
hurt a little.
yeah, and then I was like, well, maybe we can still see it early. They haven't canceled the early screenings. And 24 hours before we were about to go see it, I got an email from the press conference screening email saying that, hey, the Quiet Place 2 screening has been early screening has also been canceled, and it was sad. But everything has just shifted so much, and it's crazy that we're living in a world where Onward came out 2 weeks after it was released in theaters. I've never seen that before. Me and George did like an impromptu video last night just to do test things, and we were discussing how the coronavirus has pushed so many movies early on demand. We saw Invisible Man a few weeks ago, and that's already out on streaming and Blu-ray. They released what was that Ben Affleck movie, George, that we saw? I forgot the name of it, or Shannon.
The way back.
The
Yeah,
Way
the way.
Back. The Way Back. Yeah, that is now on streaming, and you can watch it at home. So yeah, we have our early review for that. Emma, which we haven't seen, is is up for streaming, and maybe that'll be our next big review after this video. So look forward to that. I know it looks like a England, like Little Women 1800s, early 1900s comedy, set like a dark comedy. So we'll talk about that once we see it. And
I'm excited
so,
to see that one. I know George is excited to see it too.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I think George was more excited than either of us. I feel like George really
Yeah,
wanted.
I think so. It looks
George,
really interesting and quirky.
yeah. If you see our Onward review, George is like, by the way, I just saw a showtime for Emma, like right there, and we should have seen it. If I'd known the coronavirus was gonna hit, I'd be like, Shannon, George,
I know.
no,
I
let's
would
go
have
in.
I would have walked right back into the theater and saw it.
Yeah, and so now that it's not, oh, by the way, guys, when you talk, give it 2 seconds after you unmute it and then talk because you're cutting off a lot. And then when you want to turn it off, give it 2 seconds after you stop talking and then talk. Sorry, we're still trying to figure out some technical difficulties of how this is all going to work. It is really exciting. I'm thankful that we're able to do this and we're able to connect, even though we're in our respectful homes and we can't meet in person because, you know, things could kill us, but this is still really exciting. So the first thing I wanted to do was break into some news about what's going on with the coronavirus and what we're learning. The biggest thing to happen right now is I'm going to share my screen. So you're going to see it switch over from our beautiful faces. Well, they're beautiful faces. I'm not. I'm all right. And to like me sharing the screen right now. So check it out. All right, here we go. And we're gonna do it. Okay, here we go. So what happened was basically a lot of distributors decided that this is not what we want to do. Like the theater chains wanted to shut down. They did not want to have movies being released and people coming into movie theaters because of the coronavirus, which is totally understandable. Like one of the worst places you can be with a person is probably in a dark movie theater, especially if you just saw the movie Outbreak. There's a whole scene about a movie theater and what happens if you're in a movie theater. It goes exactly with what they're trying to say here, which is, we're going to shut down movie theaters for a while until like we get this virus figured out. We don't want people to spread the virus and all that stuff, which is great, like, which is smart. Like, Disney was like, we'll release Onward. We've lost a lot of money. People aren't coming to go see it. We're just gonna release it on streaming because it just came out. Good stuff. Movie theaters are like, good job. Like that's a good choice. Same thing with The Way Back. Same thing with Emma. Same thing with Invisible Man. All of these things were already released. Like the movies were released in theaters when we learned that, hey, we're gonna switch over to streaming. So now where we're at is we just got breaking news today. We have a lot of movies that have been pushed back. We got Mulan pushed back. We got 007, A Time to Kill pushed back. We got Black Widow off the list. Fast and Furious 9 has been pushed, which was supposed to come out in a month, is now coming out in 2021. And Wonder Woman is now completely off their list, and they've pushed it back to who knows what. They don't have a date either for Wonder Woman. All of
Black
that.
Widow got pushed back.
Yeah, Black Widow got pushed
I was
back.
sad about that.
Basically, any movie that's like Soul is probably gonna get pushed back. Any movies you guys seen?
I really want to see Soul.
Well, I think Soul really wants to see you too, but right now I don't want to be thinking about death. Feel like I could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't think it'll get pushed back because of the quarantine. I think it'll get pushed back because of the subject matter.
Yeah. Well, both, I'm sure. Kids should not be, passing out germs either in the movie theater. But yeah, you're probably right. It's not an easy movie to swallow right now. Well, anyways, all of that was good. Like movie theaters. Okay, let me break down a little bit of history. I have a friend who's in the industry who talks about like how hard it is for businesses to kind of get along with each other. So the movie theater chains do a lot of things to go backwards to let movie theater companies to accept their demands for movies. Oh, we want this released in IMAX. We want this released in Dolby. We want this released in 3D. And movie theater chains, for the most part, play ball. They don't want to do these things, but they see it as a fair thing. Hey, if we release this movie in IMAX and take their demands, you got to remember, most of these movies, they're getting 80% of the movie theater tickets. They don't get, the movie theaters themselves don't get to keep 80% of this money. The way movie theaters make money is popcorn, drinks, nachos, candy, and they charge a lot of money to do that. So when I hear people complain, oh, like this popcorn and drink costs $20, it's because they don't make any money from the movie studios. They get to keep all the movie ticket sales. None of it goes to the movie theater chain. So there is this like really like heavy tension between movie theater distributors in North America and the rest of the world and like studios. They have this really if you talk to my friend who's in the industry or people like him, they'll tell you they get into like big fights. Like they'll seriously start brawling and yelling, and they don't have nice things to say about each other, but they work together for the benefit of getting the movies out and getting the movie theaters to also make money. They have a very tension relationship. It's a very tense relationship between these two, business partners. And so what happened was when movie theater chains learned that, hey, Onward and all these movie theaters who were releasing these movies or have released these movies, they're pushing it on demand, on video on demand, on streaming. They're like, you know what? This is a unquestionable, unrelatable situation. This is something none of us expected to happen. Sure, we give you guys permission to release these movies, and we don't feel any kind of like bad thing about closing, because they want to close down. The movie theater chains also decided they're going to lose money, and we're just going to shut down movie theaters to help protect the public and the people, so that the virus doesn't spread. So it was great. Like last weekend, I got to sit and watch Onward with my wife, and it was awesome. And Star Wars was also released early, like a month and a half early than it was planned, because of the situation that we're in with the coronavirus. All of that was fine until today. Today was the day that like heavy blows were hit between the movie studios and the theater company. So what happened is Universal, I will just read it for you. If you can see it on the screen, you can follow on. Universal decided they're going to release Trolls World Tour on demand, on video on demand, without any kind of like, it's not released yet. Trolls World Tour is not out yet. And they just said, we're going to release it. We're going to release it on video on demand on October 12th, and you can watch it and you can pay for it. And that's what we're doing. So John Fittian, who is one of the big AMC North American movie theater chain guys, this is his reply. Only Universal and only on Trolls did one studio skip the theatrical mode model and go straight to the home. Universal continues to advertise to consumers that Trolls will be released simultaneously to theaters and home on April 10th, and they are lying to consumers. Universal knows that theaters will be closed on April 10th. So unlike every other distributor who must simply delay their releases in that time period, but still understand that theatrical release is essential to their business model, Universal on Trolls didn't make that decision, and exhibitors, theater chains, when they say exhibitors, what they're saying is movie theaters or movie theater chains, will not forget this. And there were some other things that he said where he was like, F them and screw them, and he would just pick. Why this is such a big deal? The big deal is that one, Disney, Paramount, everybody else decided we don't want to screw theater chains over with the Black Widow, with Wonder Woman, with any of the movies that are coming out in the next few months. We don't want to take away the money that movie theaters can make because Mulan's going to make over $1 billion. Black Widow for sure is going to make over $1 billion. Like, Soul probably hit they were understanding with Onward, they were understanding with Emma, they were understanding with Invisible Man, because they got released and the virus hit and theaters chains got shut down. So the theater chains was like, it's all good. We understand why you're doing this. No hard feelings. Release it on demand, release it on streaming. It's totally fine. But now Universal is bypassing that because Trolls has not come out. It is not a movie that has even been released in theaters. So what they're doing is they're going behind movie theater chains back. And I can't wait to hear what George and Shannon have to say this too after all this. I just share this news. Movie theaters chains feel Universal, you screwed us over. You had one job. All you had to do was push Trolls 2 World Tour back to a year to 6 months, whenever this virus thing calms down, and then release the movie. But no, you went behind our backs, took away our money, because kids' movies make tons of money on candy, on Coke, on ices, on popcorn, on nachos. Majority of their income comes from not big blockbuster movies, but movies like this. Universal said back, hey, we've been watching Trolls 2 for a while, and we were watching box office numbers even before coronavirus hit. And those numbers to us said, hey, we're going to lose money. Trolls 2 is not even going to make half as much as Trolls 1. And because of that, we're releasing it. It's nothing against you guys. We just see the projection of box office. And now with coronavirus, it's better to just release it on home video and get some of the money back because it was going to bomb at the box office. Now, some people might say, oh, I totally understand what Universal is doing with the coronavirus, with box office predictions and how this movie was going to bomb like Cats and Dolittle the last few months, and they've spent a lot of money. It's okay. Let them release it. Movie theater chains are feeling like, no, you should not have done this. We still have the right to demand that movie to be released in theaters. And you not talking to us about it and just going on and telling everybody you can watch it on demand, it's not okay. We are not okay with this. And this is the thing. This is the thing that's happening that's really tense in the background. And you got to understand this is how Universal is really going to get hurt, because the North American theater chains, they're going to say, oh, Fast and Furious 9 is coming out in 2021. Oh, I see. Okay. Jurassic World with Chris Pratt is supposed to come out summer 2021. Oh, okay. Oh, how many theater screens did you want, Universal? Over 3,000? You know what? I got this Disney movie, Avengers 5 here that's coming out, and I don't think we can give you 3,000 screens. We'll give you 2,000. Okay, but what about IMAX and Dolby? Yeah, you wanna play those giant dinosaurs and fast cars on those big IMAX screens? Unfortunately, we got we got Finding Nemo 3, Finding Dory's Parents coming out that day. And we just kind of promised Disney that we're gonna keep Dolby theaters and IMAX and 3D for that. So Universal is in big trouble. They have to fix this. They have to go to the movie theater chains of North America, sit down with them and say, my bad, you guys are right. We really screwed up. We should just push Trolls 2 until we won't release this on Blu-ray. We're sorry we went behind your back. You're totally right. You deserve that popcorn. You deserve those tons of candies that those kids buy to make that money to pay for your employees and all the theater chains. My bad. So, you could now. I'm not trying to take any sides here. I'm just playing a little bit like the devil's advocate for the movie theater chains, but I'm also kind of agreeing with why Universal is doing what it's doing. But I also think that they could have talked to the movie theater chains and just told them, hey, we're thinking about releasing Trolls 2 World Tour. Disney didn't do that. Disney went to the movie theater chains and said, hey, look, we really want to release Onward on home video because of this virus. It came out 2 weeks ago and this happened. And they gave them the respect that the movie theater chains deserve. And they said, you're right. Release Onward, release Star Wars early, release The Way Back and Invisible Man and Emma. Like that was already come out, and we're starting no harm, no foul. Every other studio actually worked with the movie theater chain. Universal is going behind their backs and doing this, and it is those, like he says right in the bottom. He says Universal on Trolls didn't make that decision with us. Exhibitors will not forget this, and I'm telling you, when Fast and Furious 9 comes out, when Jurassic World, Chris Pratt gets even more faster with dinosaurs or whatever it's called, comes out next year, they're not gonna play ball with Universal. So I'm gonna throw it over to George and Shannon. Let's go with George first, and I'm gonna mute myself in case you guys don't hear me and what he thinks. And I want to hear from Shannon after George shared his thoughts. And then also I want to hear from you guys too. So if you're watching this, email us, write on the comments, go to geekdommovies.com. All right, George, what do you say to all of this?
Well, I have to admit I'm a little shocked to hear that Chris Pratt is getting faster with dinosaurs. But other than that, I would have to say most likely I think the reason behind Universal looking at this and saying, hey, let's get this particular movie out there, being that it's orientated mostly for kids, and that's their audience that they're looking for. They're probably like, you know what? A lot of people here are in quarantine. They're spending time. A lot of parents are spending time with their kids. What else are they going to do other than put a movie on? So I think they're probably looking at that and being like, you know what? We might have a chance maybe to actually make more by releasing it at home during this period of time than if they released it to the theaters. Even though obviously a theater release would definitely be better because overall their numbers would be much better, but in this particular instance, it would die out if they let it go for too long without releasing, I think.
Okay, yeah, I agree. That is a lot of unprecedented. I can see it from both of their point of views, but I just personally think it would have been better if they would have at least talked to the movie theater chains before making that decision. Shannon, what do you think of all this, and how are you feeling?
It's kind of a difficult moral decision. I don't know. Kind of in between, like you are. I'm kind of in between sides. I can't really choose between one or the other. On one hand, it's only one movie. It's not like Universal released everything onto streaming right away. That really would have been like a jab to the movie theaters. But one movie I don't know how much they were going to make off of Trolls 2. Yeah, but I don't know. This is kind of an interesting one. I usually know exactly where I stand on issues, but I could go either way on this one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the middle, but just okay, just speaking as a person who is really excited to see Fast and Furious 9 and Vin Diesel drives a car on a bridge across America, and doing all kinds of crazy stunts and Jurassic World 3, I hear it's going to be even more expensive than the other two. I want the opportunity to see those movies in Dolby and IMAX. I don't want there to be tension because big blockbusters do deserve the right to be seen in IMAX. And I personally, because of what's going on, I'm kind of on the movie theaters chain side a little bit, just because I feel like Universal does need to like play ball and work this out, because Disney didn't do that. Disney didn't say, hey, Soul and Black Widow is coming video on demand. Warner Brothers isn't releasing Wonder Woman or the next Batman. Even Batman got pushed. They're like, hey, we'll wait it out and we'll release the next Batman movie when the coronavirus has calmed down. So we'll push it 2 years from now. Every single other movie chain industry, look, it's not right if the reviews bomb Doolittle, if Cats is not doing well, you still have to let the movie theater chains to try to make some money. You can't. I mean, this is the reason there's so much tension, because the movie theater chains like, we don't care your movie's bombing. We want to keep Cats in theaters for another month, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is. Like, you can't just take it away because you don't think it's going to make enough money. That's unfair to us. Our business model is we sell movie tickets and put them on screen. Good or bad, that's our job to do. And our job, even if you don't think enough people are coming, we need that popcorn money. We need those drinks money. We opened the bar. We're selling alcohol now. Like, we need people to come and drink while they watch Cats and get drunk so they can forget about this movie. So I feel like there is precedence to say, hey, like, let's just put everything on stop and just push it back. Like it's okay. 2020 is busted. 2020 is gone. This is an unprecedented situation where we did not see this coming. Let's just shut all the movies down and release them in 2020. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I'm gonna just leave the door open to whoever wants to talk now.
And then do you want to go first, Shane?
I don't honestly have a whole lot. I don't honestly have a whole lot to say about this one. I could really see it going either way. It probably will affect how Universal's treated in the future. But on the other hand, they're trying to do a nice thing for people and give something for their kids to watch. And they have to keep their employees paid too. So this is another way for them to get revenue. Yeah, so I think maybe just doing it with one movie and not their whole catalog is the right thing to do.
And I would have to agree on that, definitely. Yeah, it's like a best thing to the next right thing.
I got that one.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this. I mean, so much changes are coming. We don't know what's gonna happen. I think right now the ball is in Universal's court, because I feel like the movie theater chain in North America have made some demands and said, you know what, we're gonna remember this. And don't you think for a second this isn't gonna hurt you. And I think we'll wait to see what happens in the next few days, and I'll keep you guys posted. And we're just maybe Universal will pull Trolls 2 World Tour out of video on demand and say, hey, like, we decided to release this in 2021. Or they might say, you know what, we're just going to release it. We'll do whatever you want, movie theater chains, we don't care. So we'll just keep you guys posted. Hey guys, all right, so we're going to move on to our next topic. And the next topic was presented to us by you guys. I put up a poll on Facebook and GeekdomMOVIES and told you to email, and one of the biggest movies that everybody told us to review, Outbreak, 1995, Outbreak. You have to watch Outbreak. And I was like, okay, I guess if you guys really want us to see this movie, I don't even know what it's about. But sure, you demand it, we watch it, and here I am. So I watched it about a week ago. Shannon and George, did you guys get a chance to see it?
Yeah, and good suggestion, everyone.
I have to admit it was a very good suggestion. I was very happy to see Rain Man in another movie.
Yeah, you mean Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
good in
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so I'll go first. Actually, no, Shannon, how about you take it away? I'm gonna take a break. What was your thoughts on Outbreak, and what did you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I started it for about 10 minutes and I was like, okay, I can't watch this. It's a war movie. I hate war movies. There's too many scenes of helicopters taking off. So I was like, I'll take a break. I came back to it the next day and Fahad was like, you have to watch it for more than 10 minutes because then it completely changes and it's not a war movie. And
Shannon does
and
this every time.
I know. I have
She's
a
like, oh,
really
I at the
hard time
beginning
getting
and finish it. Like,
to
watch
movies.
10 minutes.
I have a hard time getting into the movie, but then once I do, I do. So I tried it again, and once it gets past the initial couple of scenes and you start to get to know characters, I was kind of hooked on it. And I thought this was an interesting movie because it kind of has everything in it. It has action, war, rom-com, romance, intrigue, and like helicopter chases. And so there is something for everyone. It kind of felt like a rom-com with a serious plot because the two main characters are like ex-lovers, kind of marriage story style, but then they are he's still in love with her and she's not sure if she likes him. So there's that whole plot going on, which is kind of the main driving relationship in the movie. But then the plot is really front and center in the movie. So it's pretty much exactly what's happening right now in our world, which is why everybody and their mom suggested this movie to us. We're doing spoilers for this one?
Not yet.
Okay, so I won't go into spoilers, but if you are existing on planet Earth in the year 2020, you've already seen this movie happening around you in real life.
I think you can say it takes. I'll let you mute. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback. Okay, yeah, I think you can say that the movie is about a virus, much like the coronavirus, and there's an outbreak of it, like, and what the government and what the medical people and the health professionals, and there's a whole plot between the CDC and WHO and how they're trying to like fix things, and then there's this whole government plot that is kind of evil, and there's just it's so don't watch it if you are really scared of the coronavirus. I would not recommend it. But I would say that it is a fantasy element of what, like Shannon said, there's a fantasy element of a fake virus type movie of what's happening like right now. So George, what did you think of Outbreak?
Well, I would have to say that it was a very interesting movie. I was slightly concerned as to how people nowadays would probably react to it though, just because of how much the government was involved in that movie. And I've already heard a lot of people complaining about the government in regard to the coronavirus, so I'm a little apprehensive of that. But other than that, I would have to say that it honestly was like a mix between coronavirus and Ebola, like the side effects of Ebola, but with the I don't know how contagious the coronavirus is. So I think it was a good representation at least of just how dangerous a pandemic can really become, and who all ends up being affected. Just everybody who's around it really can get it. And so I would have to say that it was very good in that regard. Definitely eye opening, in regards to making sure that you gotta take every precaution necessary to make sure you don't get it. And other than that, it was a very interesting action kind of movie. Like not really action. No, it was there was more
There was action. I like
thriller to
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
there was a helicopter chase scene.
Yeah.
that part that was awesome. I have to admit that was absolutely awesome.
Highlights of that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was like the best action part.
Yeah, Shannon, were you trying to say something? Sorry, I think we cut you off.
Yeah, I was gonna say that helicopter scene reminded me so much of being a kid and playing Lego Star Wars and doing the pod racing. Because it looked like the pod racing scene in episode 1, which is like my favorite thing in any Star Wars movie. So I'm not normally into action movies, but I was down with the helicopter chase.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like I loved the helicopter scene came out of nowhere and it was so good and there was very tense about some of the things that happen in the plot wise. If you haven't seen the movie, just watch Outbreak and you'll get what we're trying to say. For me personally, I thought it was a little scary that there was a monkey and this monkey was contagious and that monkey passed this contagious to somebody in a third world country that now is flying into America and passing it to everyone in America. And it was like, oh my God, like there was a moment where I was like, okay, like I have to put this movie down for a sec because it's kind of scaring me a little bit. But then, as George said, when I started watching it, it's the virus is like this Ebola, like really, like if you get it, you die. Like everyone dies. It's more like the Spanish flu than it is the coronavirus because coronavirus is a little, a lot. Thank God, like a lot more, less resilient and less deadly than something like this. But not that coronavirus can't kill people. It definitely can, and it needs to be watched for also. But yeah, like I found the government's response to the beginning of the movie and later like the government's not so good at taking care of real situations. Their responses were kind of dark and evil and I just have a hard time trusting any government even today in real life. So that part kind of like spooked me a little bit, I would say. But other than that, the movie was very entertaining. It was very like it got a lot of things right, like how people react. You've seen stories of people just buying toilet paper and stabbing each other at Walmart for toilet paper, and how the public kind of reacts, and we got a really good representation of like the CDC, which is played by Dustin Hoffman. No, is he play who character? Is he World Head Herald? Okay, what? Okay, like Shannon said, there's two people.
So are you talking about who played which character? It was Dustin Hoffman is playing their main character. Fantastic actor. What's that?
No, he's in neither. He's actually with the military.
Oh, his ex-wife is CDC or like the World Health. Or I don't know.
Morgan Freeman is the one playing the guy who's in the army, the military.
Okay.
And then Cuba Gooding Jr. is the young military guy who gets roped into all of this.
Gotta say, Cuba Gooding Jr., he can act. Like, I don't see him a lot today, but Cuba Gooding Jr. is really good in this movie.
Yeah, he is good in literally every movie. You guys seen Radio? He's good in that. If you've seen this movie, I think it's called 12 Feet Under. It's a movie where he's a scuba diver and he learns how to hold his breath for like 5 minutes and he goes underwater and he does this challenge. It was a really good movie. Every time Cuba Gooding Jr. is in something, I usually like it. This was an all-star cast.
Spacey showing up.
Who?
Kevin Spacey.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. But
this serious? Kevin Spacey, honestly, I have to admit, he had a great role to play in this. It was just like him.
Yeah, it was just hard to watch him because of all the sexual harassment and how much his career has like been nuked by the horrible things he's done. So it was just weird seeing him in a movie. He what? You broke up. You gotta talk.
He deserves it.
Right. But yeah, no, I would say check out this movie. Thank you guys for recommending it. I would highly recommend it. Shannon, George, what are your scores before we go into spoilers?
Wait, before we do that, Fahad, you know how when we saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you were so mad that there were so many scenes of Brad Pitt just driving his car around?
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the helicopters in this movie. I was like, if you show me one more scene of a helicopter taking off or landing, I'm gonna scream, because that was about 20 minutes of this hour, 48-minute long movie.
That was the best part of the movie, was the helicopter chase scene with like the military planes. What are you talking about? That was awesome.
The chase scene was fun. The rest of the movie was like helicopters landing and helicopters taking off, and they took their dang time to show you that. And I was so, every time it happened, I was like, this is just like Brad Pitt driving around in his car in Hollywood, except it's not filmed beautifully, and I don't care.
Actually, here's where I beg to differ, since I've been in aviation. So with helicopters, actually, they did it much faster because the military tends to actually do much faster approaches and landings and such. They were doing that way faster than a normal helicopter. So if you want to see slow, go get a private like tour with a helicopter, and you will see much slower than that.
Okay,
hell.
interesting insight. I didn't know that. But it makes sense that they would fake it and speed it up for a movie.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it wasn't faked. Those actually happened like at that speed, but that's how good they are. That's kind of like, that's actually, I thought those scenes were actually really cool just because they actually did all their timing just right. I mean, like you had 3 helicopters like taking off at exactly the same time, same position. I mean, like they were pros. Whoever flew for this, they were really pro.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's some good insight. Thank you. I had no idea. I never would have guessed.
All right, so I give this movie like a good solid 8 out of 10. What would you guys rate it? Like definitely worth. I would say check it out. Definitely check it out, especially right now. It's not as scary, as realistic as what's going on, but it's still kind of cool to see something that's fantasy based that was like a real life situation.
Yeah, I'd say 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. All-star cast, totally all-star cast. Very like 90s cast, but yeah, a 7 out of 10. Definitely check it out unless you're freaking out over coronavirus, then skip it. But
Yeah.
it was
I would have to say, I would give it an 8 out of 10 just because like some of those
Oh,
scenes.
you agreed with me.
Yes, I did. It was actually a very, very good movie. Some of the issues I had with it though was just like how realistic they were in actually finding a cure. Mm, that's why it's not a 10 out of 10. Everything else was pretty much good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I gotta say, okay, we're going into spoilers now. So if you want to watch this movie and you don't want to watch spoilers, this is your chance to run away. Uh, but one of the things that I actually really like this about this movie, I somebody's gonna write a comment and tell me I'm an evil person, but I really enjoyed watching Kevin Spacey get sick and die. Because like I mean, I just know too much about what he did, and I just felt like, oh, I wish that actually happened to Kevin Spacey in real life. And
Was
how
Kevin Spacey the friend? Was Kevin Spacey the friend?
he, he was the Dustin Hoffman. Remember when Cuba Gooding Jr. was just like really scared, and there were these 2 guys trying to talk to him. The other guy was Dustin Hoffman's friend, Kevin Spacey, actor, and he remember like there was some kind of like a leak, and I guess his suit cut and the virus came in, and then Kevin Spacey slowly died, but then it happened. And like, do you remember Dustin Hoffman's ex-wife trying to give a needle, a shot? And
Yeah,
then
that's who I'm talking
yeah,
about. So that's
yeah,
Kevin
yeah,
Spacey?
that's Kevin Spacey.
Okay. I didn't know he had the whole sexual harassment thing leveled at him.
Oh
That's
yeah,
yeah.
big time too. Like he's not allowed to be in any movie right now. Last time I checked.
Un- Unfortunately, there's just so many Me Too things happening in the media. It's hard to even keep track. But yeah, he deserves to die.
Well, I'm not gonna say in real life. I just said the movie.
In the movie.
In the movie, I was not against it. I'm a person. No
That's
matter how evil somebody is, they don't deserve to die. I would rather just see them in prison for the rest of their life, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, to be clear, I was talking about in the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, spoilers. Another spoiler that I really liked was the little girl and the monkey. Like I kept rewinding and watching it, where like the mom came. It's like And the little girl's like, it's so 90s corniness, but the girl's like, I have a friend and it's a monkey. And the mom's like, ooh, ooh, I was like, so it might have been because I was like really tired, and I was like that late night goofiness. Oh my God. I kept rewinding that scene over and over and over again because the mom just goes, oh, you have a monkey friend. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Absolutely hilarious. There's another scene with Cuba Gooding Jr. has what do you call it, like this shot. He has this shot to tranquilize the monkey at the end, and he's just standing behind this like tree branch, and the cameras are like just this music that's just playing that's like really like tension, and it's just this little girl. She's like, "Come here, monkey," and then you go to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s face, and he's like, like holding the tranquilizer gun. And then they zoom over to Dustin Hoffman and the mom, and he's like, oh God, oh God. Oh, and then Dustin Hoffman's like, it's okay, he's a professional. He knows how to tranquilize someone.
You sound like Olaf when he recaps Frozen 1 and Frozen 2.
Oh my gosh, it was so much corniness, and I loved it. That movie went from like a 6 out of 10 to like 8 out of 10 for me because it was so over the top acting that I couldn't help myself. Or even the helicopter scene where he's like flying, he's like, I'm not changing my path. And then the two guys in the helicopter, and then you have Morgan Freeman and Donald Sutherland. I think that's his name. He's the guy from Mockingbird or Hunger Games. He's the president.
Wait, I want to talk about that monkey scene. So
Which one?
the monkey scene where that you just described, where they're trying to tranquilize that monkey. I think this is what George was talking about. The way that they went about that was so unrealistic. Like, there is no way anyone who works in the medical field is putting a 5-year-old girl 5 feet away from a rabid monkey as bait. Like, there's just no way that's gonna happen ever. So
Well,
that made me laugh.
yeah.
But the main issue I had with it was mostly actually due to the fact that it was like, oh, as soon as we find the host, it'll have the cure. It's like it's not quite how it works. So that was the biggest issue I actually had. I thought that whole thing with trying to get that monkey, I knew they were like restrained in regards to the time limit or constrained. And so
Yeah.
they were trying to find the fastest way to get to the monkey, and that's why, because they were already waiting for a while before that, and so they're like, okay, well, this is worst case scenario. We got to save these people. So that's what they.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I
it's
was just about to say. Exactly what George said. There was a time restraint. They didn't have the manpower and you got to remember the government was coming to bomb like the town and just basically kill everyone. And so Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman's like our best case because like Dustin Hoffman's wife is now sick, right? And like there was just so much time restraints. Like the best they could do was like either this girl we send out who's gonna get the monkey to come and then we can find the antidote or we can find the cure, or because they just really don't have time to run around a forest looking for this monkey. They didn't have hours. They didn't even have minutes. They needed to get this thing, get the military to listen to them that hey, like we're working on it. Don't kill innocent people. Don't destroy the entire city. There was just so much going on that I kind of bought into that scenario, if that makes sense.
yeah, it's fine for a movie. It would just never happen in real life. They would
Yeah,
be like,
like
we can catch that monkey. They'll just call the Humane Society down the street and they'll get it.
yeah, like I mean, again, in the context of the movie, it makes sense. In real life, the military, I don't think would ever, unless it's, I mean, I do believe that the military would destroy an entire city if they had to, if it meant
That
like,
I believe. Yeah, they do that
yeah,
all the
and
time.
oh God, that's even scary. Like, the idea that if we take out this town and these people to save lives in the rest of America, I do believe military is going to suggest those ideas and things to the president, to the higher authority in the military. So I did find that scary, and I hope we never have to deal with a situation. Not that the coronavirus isn't scary; it is. We're seeing the devastation of the economy and businesses that are failing, and all the closings of schools and businesses and concerts and movies. This is still scary, but can you imagine if it was like an Ebola type seriousness of this type of virus compared to coronavirus? I think that would really, where like a lot of authorities around the world and people around the world would have to come up with solutions on how to control a virus, and maybe even let people, like Italy right now as we speak is like making decisions to let people die because it's gone so far. Like they're just choosing who gets to live and die. Like that's all they can do, so I do think if that's just a small piece of understanding of the coronavirus, imagine this on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, George, you were just talking about this, but when when Dustin Hoffman gets down and says that monkey has the medicine inside its body, I was like, no, it's not a snake. You can't make an anti-venom. Like that's not how this works.
Oh, you're talking about the science of it.
Yeah, that is not how that works. The monkey is a host, which means it has a virus on it, which means the virus is a separate entity, but you can't just take the virus out of the monkey. It doesn't work that way. Like, you can do that with bees and snakes because you can make an anti-venom, or an whatever bee stuff is called. But you can't do that with a monkey who's hosting a virus. That does not work.
Yeah, that was what really got me mostly in this movie. But other than that, I mean, it was it was a really good movie, but their theories as to how to come up with a cure for a virus was so wrong, especially since it had already evolved into something else. It's like, no, at that point you have to be able to actually find the cure for the evolution of it, not just the original strain.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can let all that stuff pass because this is not a true story, and it's just like again, this is a fantasy element of something that's similar. Like I found that crazy. Like, didn't China say it was passed on from like a bat or some other animal?
Somebody ate a raw bat. That's what they're
That
saying.
that hasn't been proven. We do
I don't
know.
know that I believe that, but that is what people were saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the scientific, like nobody has found, we haven't found patient zero. But at the same time, like, Australia did a really good, if you guys have time, go on YouTube and look for Australia's 60-minute interview with why Chinese people are selling like different animals to eat. It's not because of religion, and it's not because of like, they just like the taste of exotic animals. The Chinese government keeps majority of the good stuff, like the good meat, the good food, to themselves, and the Chinese people who are in poverty and suffering, they will sell anything and everything to like keep you alive. There's exotic animals like bats and weird things like that that none of us would ever think about eating. But because they're going hungry, these guys go and hunt all kinds of stuff and then give it to people to eat because there's just not enough food going around. So, I just thought that was interesting.
There was a joke going around that said, whoever said one man can't change the world has never eaten a raw bat.
Again, we don't know if he ate a bat. I think I just heard from who said that the virus mutated and jumped to humans, but not by food or eating a bat. It just, like, if let's say we were walking by like a raccoon, right, or a squirrel, and that squirrel just kind of came and just like had rabies, for example, and just cut you or like jumped on you and breathed on you, and you breathed in the virus somehow, and then you got corona. And they're saying that's scientifically what the scientists think actually happened. Somebody might have captured an animal, whatever it may be. They didn't realize the virus had mutated where it can affect humans, and they were just like probably trying to put it in a cage or something like that, and try to capture it or pass it or give it as a pet. Who knows? And the animal sneezed or coughed or breathed in front of that human, and that human got the coronavirus just being in contact with that, and that's how we're passing the virus on. Because the coronavirus 19, I saw the Bill Gates interview, and I saw other interviews. The coronavirus should not be able to go and pass on from animal to human. It wasn't supposed to do that, but they did say viruses like SARS, Ebola, even can mutate and jump to humans. And that's why we're looking at the bird flu a few years ago that also jumped from birds to humans, right? So,
And mad cow disease. But they're also
yes, yes, yes.
And swine flu. But they're also guessing now. There's also been theories and rumors that this was actually created in a lab and then it escaped through somebody,
Kind of
not
like,
taking proper precautions
kind of
in
like,
the movie.
like the movie. Okay, yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, there's theories. I really don't care about theories because it's like, I just want to get this under control. And like, I see so many people write the dumbest stuff. Oh, like the mark of the beast because so and so Bill Gates said we can cure the vaccine with this microchip, mark of the beast. And then I read another thing talking about how Bill Gates and the government of China created this. Like, all of this stuff is just so like, like, yeah, you could be right. Sure, conspiracies could come true, just like 9/11 was caused by our government and Osama bin Laden is a CIA agent, like all the other conspiracies I read about. Like, it just, like it's a waste of time and energy from my point of view. I just, I just want it to go away. I want us as a humanity to come together and get rid of it and just forget about this other side of conspiracies. Like, sure, I like conspiracies. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, 10 years later, after September 11th, if I'm watching about how like beans can't melt in this degree of temperature, sure, why not? But in the moment, I want to stop terrorism. I want terrorism to be stopped. I don't want innocent people dying. I want us to go do something about it. I don't care what temperature, like, skyscraper beams melt at. That's something I can look at 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when it's like under control and, eviscerated. Right now is not the time for that. That's just my little rant in case anybody cares.
I actually agree with you there, and that's one of the reasons why I was concerned in this regard of people possibly seeing this movie and reacting to it, was just because of how they might be like, oh man, look at this, the government in here was like so off the wall and trying to like get
That's
rid of
Trump
these
and
people.
the military guy in our military and Trump who are yeah, no, I'm sure
Yeah,
there's somebody
well,
watching this movie who could do that. I agree.
that's one of my main concerns, but yeah, I would have to admit that like mostly what I think of this instance right now is like, I'm not really, as you said, I'm not really concerned about how it came to be. I'm just concerned about how can we stop it. That's really.
Yeah, no, 100%. So do you guys have anything else? Final thoughts? Outbreak? Anything else you want to say? All right, this is our review. Check out again, if you're scared of this virus and you feel like you'll get PTSD by watching it or something, or it's just too much, don't watch it. But it is very entertaining, and all three of us enjoyed it, and we were able to watch it and distinguish between reality and what's fiction. So I would say give it a chance and see if you like it. It is very entertaining. It's a great action movie. Like Shannon said, all-star cast, so many great actors, except for Kevin Spacey. Everyone else is really good. And spoilers, Kevin Spacey dies from a horrible virus. And if you care about that, maybe watch it. I don't know. All right, we're going to move on to Spice and Discuss.
Hey, well, we're back, everybody. So we are here with Spies in Disguise by popular demand, because we only watched this one because you guys all wanted us to. So we are reading your comments. We are listening to you. Drop some more comments down below. We're going to throw this one over to George to start. George, what did you think of Spies in Disguise?
Well, this was a very unique movie. I would have to say. Well, oh man, Will Smith. Will Smith is awesome in it. He's I don't know how to put this, but he's nearly a villain, and that's kind of a good thing. Um, just because it really puts Tom Holland in an even better light, and he was already in a good light as it was. But so yeah, it's as it describes, it's about a spy, and he's out there, he's the best agent. This was all in the trailer, so no spoilers here. um so he was out there, he was saving the world, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, but he just wasn't making the cut. So anyways, So then here comes along this scientist who's trying to make sure that, you know, everything that he does is non-lethal, which actually that would kind of be smart in reality. And um anyways, so in this particular instance, it winds up making for a very interesting duo. And they have to eventually overcome their differences and work together, which is very interesting. um I know lots of people are wondering why there's a pigeon in it, but I think I should probably leave that for spoilers, just because that kind of is a spoiler there. So
It's in the trailer.
it is okay. All right. So well, yeah. Well, you know, Will Smith, he turns into a pigeon, and
He's
I
a
kind of
spy in
I
Sky.
the sky, yeah, exactly, in the sky. So, so I was kind of wondering if that had something to do with why he was a pigeon, and yeah. So it was very interesting in that regard, because it just never seen a movie quite like that where it just turned into an animal that I can recall. Um, but yeah, it was very good. Once again, it was well, yeah, that was about all I have to say, I think, in that regard. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, this was a weird one for me. I don't like a lot of animated films outside of Pixar. I really was going into it expecting it to be mediocre. It was pretty mediocre. I think they could have used Tom Holland better. I think they did a pretty good job using Will Smith. I think he was pretty funny. It wasn't as excruciatingly bad as a lot of these animated kids. It wasn't like Minions or anything. But it was a lot of like poop jokes and just stuff that I can't stand. But they had some intelligent jokes too. Fahad, do you remember when we saw Mr. Peabody, and it was like this animated movie with the little genius dog? That's what this one reminded me a lot. That Mr. Peabody one was like this, it was this really silly movie, but it had this really intelligent dog character, and it made a lot of really clever like math and science jokes. And this movie had like a few of those thrown in there, and you were like, oh, that was funny for the adults. But then it also had all these like butt jokes that just, oh, I just can't do those. I can't stand them. So it was this weird mix of both. I feel like they knew what they wanted to do, and they made exactly the movie they wanted to make, and they hit the exact target audience they wanted to hit. And I'm not in that audience. I think this is for like kids 12 and under. If you have 2 hours to kill, nothing in this movie is offensive or harmful. This is a good way for your kids to kill 2 hours, and then you're going to be done with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I really like the opening of this movie. The opening was awesome. Like Will
I'll
Smith,
agree.
um, no, sorry, the kid and his mom, and that little story of like him inventing things to protect his mom. Totally was on board with Tom Holland. Totally was on board with that whole mom son thing. Loved like Will Smith breaking into that Japanese facility, the giant glitter cat that shows up in the beginning of the movie. You know, just really, really interesting things like how he battles all those like Japanese men and then shoots himself out of the base and to the helicopter. Totally was on board. I was like, and then the title sequence. Oh my gosh, whoever did the title sequence for this movie needs to go do a 007 movie because that I actually watched that title sequence twice. That's how good that title sequence is. It was
I've already
so well.
forgotten it. I'll have to go back and watch it again.
Oh yeah, it's killer. But then the movie takes a nosedive, and a big one for me personally. Just a lot of poop jokes, like Shannon was saying. A lot of just like shticks that I could not really follow along with, but a solid ending. The last 20, 30 minutes, solid beginning, solid entertaining ending. The middle, I'm like, we're talking like a good 40, 50 minutes of just like redundant poop jokes and weird like things
Yeah,
happening.
it's bad. It's really bad.
And I for some reason I can forgive Minions for that. I don't know why. Maybe because I just grew up with the Despicable Me character, so I like the
Unforgivable.
Minions. And
Unforgivable.
I'm offended that you took it to Mr. Peabody, because Mr. Peabody and the Wayback Machine is awesome, and everybody needs
Yeah, I
to
loved
that.
that movie when we saw it together, but the poop jokes in Mr. Peabody were intelligent poop jokes. They were
Yeah,
very
like
scientific.
they were never this again, like wow, like cast wise, like Tom Holland is a great kid who's kind of an adult who's doing scientist stuff. Will Smith, I mean, it's Will Smith. Like, no matter what, Will Smith's showing up. And whether you like the movie or not, you're just glad Will Smith is in a movie. So
He
I
saved it.
I literally can't. I mean, like this is the perfect type of movie where if you have kids and you need an hour and a half to just escape into a fun, nothing serious type of movie, I think, because we did two movies. What I'm trying to do, one for adults and one for kids. And this movie definitely lands on the kids section, but I think kids will actually like it. I do think kids that are 12 or younger probably will like it. I wasn't bored. I enjoyed it, but I don't think,
Yeah, it held my attention well enough. It was
yeah.
fine.
And yeah, I would give this a solid 7 family wise. Adult wise, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 10 because I don't think I'd ever watch this movie by myself. But if I had my niece and nephew, or I had like kids over and I played this, it'd be a solid family good time. If you like Will Smith, if you like Tom Holland from Spider-Man, if you like gadgets and 007 and spy stories, I think you're gonna hit all the notes without being getting too serious like the adult spy movies like 007 or Mission Impossible. This is like a great intro for kids to think about gadgets and spies and villains and world jumping and cars that can do amazing things and turn into weapons. Like I think this is really good for kids before they're ready for 007 and Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When we get into spoilers, I think George and I will have some interesting things to say about the moral of the story here, which neither of us liked very much. But it's not a terrible moral. But we'll get into that in
Okay, yeah.
spoilers.
What's my score is 7, 8 out of 10 for families. Probably like 3 out of 10 if you're just an adult or going on a date night. Probably a bad movie for date night. What do you guys want to give it?
Yeah, I'd agree with what you said. If it's a kids movie, 7 out of 10. For adults, don't watch this.
Um, well, I hate to admit this actually was a date movie for me. But
And he
it
never
was
saw the girl again.
well so far. Anyway, but it was a funny movie. Okay, and it held my attention for at least a little bit of it, and but the majority of it, yeah, I'd have to say maybe a 6 out of 10, just because like I mean like I like Tom Holland, I like Will Smith, and some of the jokes they made were kind of funny, and a couple of the like there were some touching moments, there were some really I guess good morals in here,
Yeah.
and but yeah, other than that, yeah, it was a little rough.
I don't really have much to say on the spoilers. I have no idea what Shannon's talking about, so I'll let Shannon talk
Ooh.
about spoilers. I wasn't honestly. I don't think I was paying enough attention to really know. Like I think I was sort of paying attention, but I sort of zoned out because it's just the movie had a hard time keeping my attention. I had to rewind it a couple of times to be like, crap, what just happened, and then rewind it. So I'll just let you take over the spoiler section if you have something to say.
Okay. Yeah, I think George and I will have some interesting stuff to say because we were talking a little bit about it. But basically, the entire moral of the story is that this hardened, jaded, like basically Men in Black 2 type Will Smith, where he's like, we're just gonna go and kill all the bad guys. So he's jaded and he's trying to teach Tom Holland that like sometimes you just have to use violence and you can't always win over everyone with love. And then Tom Holland is trying to teach Will Smith that, like, no, you can save the world with a video of kittens that look like rainbows, and magic and glitter will save the world. And they stop the bad guy with a rainbow kitten glitter bomb. And let me just tell you,
I like
if you
that.
go,
That
no,
was the best
because
part.
here's why I'm so angry. Because if you talk to anyone in the military or anyone who knows anyone in the military, ask them what they would think of going to Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, any country have ever had conflict with, and arm them with a kitten glitter bomb and see how that goes over. This is not the way that we save the world. You cannot do that. You can't tell kids that the way to save the world is with peace and love and glitter. It just doesn't work. And I wish that the moral of the story had the guts to have the moral be somewhere in between Tom Holland's character and Will Smith's character, and for them to come up with a compromise where they did some of the peace, love, glitter crap and some of the hardened, jaded criminal crap. Because somewhere in the middle is what you actually need to fight crime and actually be a good person. You can't just roll over anytime someone's mean to you. That might be fine for a bully at school, but it's not going to work with the high-level spy optic stuff that they have in this movie where someone's trying to destroy the world. It just doesn't work, and I couldn't take it, and I hate the moral. I hated the moral. You cannot stop the bad guy with the glitter bomb. Okay, rant over. George.
Okay,
Oh, you
so
gotta mute it, Shannon.
okay, so for my take from this was I would agree with you there, definitely, but I think it was a good thing to realize that maybe there should be a little bit more compromise in certain areas, like in civil.
That should have been the moral. Compromise should have been the moral.
Absolutely, but like in civil situations, definitely I think we shouldn't for the majority of it, we probably shouldn't be using lethals. I mean, look at what's happened so far
Absolutely.
here in the US, just all of these accidents with lethal things. So it's really a problem, I think, using lethals in like a civilized area and such. But yeah, you can't
definitely.
necessarily win over the world with peace and love. It doesn't always work.
No, we've tried it for the last 5,000 years of recorded human history, and the people that always try it are usually the ones that die off. So it's not working, and sometimes you have to, punch back. You have to when there's a bully. Sometimes you just can't win them over with niceness. You should always try that first. But if it's not working, then you have to take the next step. And this movie should have been teaching kids that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, and they don't in this movie, and that just bothered me.
Well, didn't Will Smith's character say that he in some Pakistan country where the bad guy gives his big spiel, like, you don't remember me, do you? And then he goes blah 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 blah. He did use violence against the guy. He did like rip his
Will
face off.
Smith's character did, but then at the end of the movie, the whole moral of the story is that Will Smith was so wrong for being bad and evil and trying to protect himself using force, and that Tom Holland's character was the good, pure one because he shot a bomb filled with rainbows and kittens and glitter. It's not even being subtle. It's literally rainbows and kittens and glitter, which I guarantee you does not defend against terrorists. You don't have to be commander-in-chief to know that.
Well, it's a kids movie, so for me it's like,
but it's a bad moral for kids. It's a bad moral. And I'm not saying that your kids shouldn't watch it. They're not going to be harmed by it, but it's a bad moral.
I don't know what to tell you. I just don't think it's that big of a deal, but I didn't really think I was the target audience. I don't want my kids to fight at all. I would prefer that if I had young children.
You don't have any kids. I've got younger siblings, whatever.
I was going to say, Shannon, you hiding some kids somewhere? What's going on?
If your kid If a bully comes up to your kid at school and punches them in the face, are you going to tell them to stand there and smile?
No,
Or
I
are you
tell
going
them
to tell
go
them to
tell the
throw a
teacher.
punch back?
Go
Stand
tell
up for
the teacher.
themselves.
Get them in trouble.
Okay, but in the moment when they're being beat up on, do you want them to protect themselves and stop it from happening? Or do you want them to go, here's a kitten, here's a glitter bomb, which is not going to work?
I mean, violence begets violence, as Martin Luther King in the Bible says. But, if the kid is
But Jesus
relentless,
also said those who don't have a sword should go out and buy a sword.
and
Like,
that's
there's
what I'm
nothing
saying.
wrong with protecting yourself from physical violence.
As,
Now, we should absolutely try to negotiate and be peaceful and work things out as much as possible. Absolutely. But there are times when that doesn't work. And this movie did not bring that up. It did not have any sort of compromise between the two of them where Tom Holland's character goes, you know what, you're right. Sometimes I do need to stand up for myself and protect myself from these relentlessly evil people.
what I got to say is, personally, and I don't know why, I just don't take anything that isn't Disney or DreamWorks. I love DreamWorks too. Seriously, I like if this was a Pixar or Disney animated movie, I'll go on a rant about Frozen 2 and Onward all day about why I don't like the movie. But when it comes to, like, I looked up the studios, like Ice Age Blue, some company. I don't even know what they are. Somebody can
Blue
Google.
Sky and Illumination, yeah. I can't stand anything that comes out of Blue Sky or Illumination.
I literally don't care. I don't have high standards when it comes to these animation studios. So for me, like, I just it's doable for 5-year-olds. That's all I see this movie as. It's not high quality. Honestly, you're probably better off watching Onward, if I'm being honest. Like right now, if you had to choose
See,
between
there's a movie that had a great moral at the end.
no, but
Yes.
don't make me go start on another rant about Onward again and Frozen 2. I'll do it. But
see, why do you care so deeply about those two movies, but
it's
this one
Disney.
doesn't bother you?
Because Disney has a stamp and they're 100 years old and it's basically Disney's history. Like where Disney has higher standards and they deserve to have those higher standards. I'm sorry. They just like if I go buy a freaking like Nike shoes or like some name brand Meyer brand shoe and it rips and falls apart and hurts my ankles, I'm just gonna go like, well, I bought a Meyer brand running shoes and that's what happened. But if I bought a brand new Nike like that's like name brand and like works their butt off to make sure they make the best shoes.
They are one of the biggest animation studios in the world. I just personally hate everything they make.
Who?
Illumination.
Blumination, yeah.
Blumination.
Blue Sky and Illumination. I think they combine.
Blumination. Like
I like that. I like Blumination. They should call themselves.
honestly, like if the movie is great, I'll like abominable. I'll go out of my way to let people know, like check it out. I do have higher standards for DreamWorks. DreamWorks really been kicking ass for like 10 years or so. They make great Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't even know how to move. I mean, like I love DreamWorks, and I do have a higher standards for that. For this, I don't like Ice Age. I don't. Despicable Me was surprisingly good, but Despicable Me went back to being okay, and Despicable Me 3 was okay, and Minions was okay. So for me, it's like I'm not really have much hope when it comes to these movies. I'm just watching them, and they're doable. If I had a 5-year-old son that's like gadgets and cool action things, they're like 6, 5 years old. I don't have a problem playing Spies on Disguise
I
for
would
them.
say, hey, gonna introduce you to this great 90s movie called Spy Kids. You're gonna love it.
Oh God, I hate that movie. But hey, whatever works for you.
What? You don't
that
like
movie
Spy
was a
Kids?
little rough.
I hate Spy
Oh,
Kids.
okay, I think Fahad, you might have been too
Cannot.
old for it. George,
I was
you might
in
have been
ninth
too young
grade.
for it. I was smack dab in the target audience for that.
Well, there you go.
I loved the first Spy Kids movie.
That's the thing. Like, if you have the target audience, I think kids who watch this, who are 5, 6, or that is age appropriate, they're gonna probably love seeing Will Smith. I mean, like honestly, if I'm 5 and Will Smith becomes like this suave bad boys, Men in Black, cool character, just becomes a pigeon. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very Men in Black-y. I've seen some complaints lately that too many African American characters become relegated to turning into an animal or an inanimate object for half the movie. They're doing it with Soul too. They did it with Spies in Disguise, and they did it with, there was a third or fourth movies that they had a main character who was like a person of color, and then they just turned him into either an animal or an object that wasn't, you know, didn't have any ethnicity for most of the movie. So this movie got some flack for doing that. But honestly, it wasn't the whole movie. There was enough Will Smith in this that I thought it was fine.
Heck,
Yeah,
there was even Will Smith without a suit. So
I was gonna say that was a little awkward. There was naked Will Smith in this children's movie for 5-year-olds.
There was one other thing I wanted to bring up real quick. Also, the fact that they actually had some lower level dude who had gotten beaten up by Will Smith went and advanced all the way up to the top. I was like, wow, they actually finally portrayed someone who actually felt hurt about something taking it too far. And I thought that part was actually good that they showed that.
I've already forgotten about that part.
Yeah, okay. It's funny, you guys didn't mention the two biggest issues that I had with this movie. Actually, three of the biggest issues. One, Will Smith turns into a female pigeon and then lays an egg. Two,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
there's a whole sequence of him trying to use the toilet, and this whole conversation taking place on the plane about how to use the toilet and how the birds have.
You're a bird. Just poop anywhere. You're a bird.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I just find that disturbing. Like I was disturbed.
It was gross and weird, and it was too
And
many
awkward.
poop jokes. And I don't like poop jokes in kids' movies. I don't find butts or poop funny. I know that kids do, but it's just be intelligent. Just try anything other than a butt joke or a poop joke. For kids, like every single kids movie, unless it's Pixar or Disney, has all these dumb jokes in it, and I just can't stand it.
As a child who once was a child, I demand more poop jokes.
Yes, I liked it when I was 5, but that doesn't mean it was what was best for me.
Target audience, like Onward is targeted towards families. Like adults will connect with the whole Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, and fantasy. Kids will like the fun magical aspects of Onward, and and there's an emotional thing. But like I would say that's, I wouldn't show a 5-year-old Onward though. I would show it to someone that's much older, like 8 or 9 or 10. While Spies in Disguise, I feel like does hit that target audience where I want to cook dinner and the kids won't shut up and they're fighting. It's like, here's Spies in Disguise in the background. Watch Will Smith turn into a pigeon. Leave me alone so I can get 2 hours of peace. So for me, it's like, what movie is what it's representing? This is not a family movie, but I do think kids will enjoy it. They will like the colors. Like I said, the last 20, 30 minutes of this movie was like really good. Like I would even, if I was just watching the kids watch it, I probably would turn my brain off at the part where like he's turning into a pigeon and doing all these weird things. But the last 20 minutes of the base and like all those drones and how the water was hitting this beautiful like.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that
awesome.
The animation at the end where he was near the water
Gorgeous.
was absolutely gorgeous. Like
I was like, what? What's happening?
Way over budget. Like, why did you put all your time and effort into this one little scene? Like, hire some writers to make some better jokes, because the animation was stunning for like 2 minutes on the water. It looked like
not even
Frozen
2 minutes,
level
like
animation.
Minutes. The whole base and how the drones and just like the way the water looked and how the water hit there were like cylinder like pieces that look like rocks. I don't even know. I can't even describe it.
It was really cool. Yeah. It looked really stunning.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the beginning of the movie, the Japan scene where he has to break into the Japanese base, and then the ending, like were like the best set pieces for this entire movie. While like more than half of this movie in the middle is just like you said, butt jokes. So whatever. But I think Onward did that too. Onward had moments where it was going too far in that like kidsy, over the top, weird, like too kidsy part. But then Onward also had like that solid ending like this movie does and a solid beginning like this movie does. But I would say Onward still entertains more for families and adults than this movie would. So, all right, well, that's our spoiler review, and I don't think I think our next movie. So Emma came out, right, George? And you want us to review that, and then so I'm just taking.
I want to see.
Okay, so we got two movies because you both mentioned Emma, and then Contagion is our next big coronavirus episode. So we'll watch Contagion. Is it on Netflix or something? I feel like Contagion is on Netflix. It's an old movie, right? Like Outbreak.
It's 2011, I believe.
Let me see. Got me Googling. Contagion. So we'll do Contagion and we'll do, what was the other movie? Emma, right? Emma?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Emma, I'm excited for.
Okay, so it
I'm-
looks like it's on Hulu. You can watch it on Hulu for free. Okay. If you
I
have
kind
Hulu.
of I kind of feel like they actually did the pricing. This is something I meant to talk about before. Like they actually did the pricing for it
Yeah.
somewhat similar to about like two tickets essentially. So basically they're already expecting if you're watching it at home that you're probably watching it with someone.
Okay.
At least that's kind of like my theory on
Okay.
like why they have it so highly priced.
Okay.
And to explain that, because I know a lot of people were complaining about, oh man, it's $20 just to watch this movie online, you know.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's the reason why though is because they're mostly concerned about, oh, if we don't have it anywhere close to that, then it'll be a problem, you know.
Right. Right.
And that way they at least have, because I mean, like if you think about it, tickets to a theater are probably around average of about $12, you know, a person or so, at least for two adults. So that way, you know, if it for $20, it's about two people, you know.
Honestly, it feels like for early video on demand for a movie that was supposed to be released in theaters, I can't fault them for doing that. That sounds like the right way to go about it. If they are going to release Trolls, Emma, and all the Invisible Man, and you haven't seen it, you're not paying a lot to watch this movie. You're paying about, because think about it, when you go see a movie, most of the time you're taking a date or a friend or a family member, at least one other person. So you're paying $20 unless you have Amazon, sorry, not Amazon, AMC Prime membership or AMC Stubs list or whatever it's called. So for me, it's like it's worth it. I mean, if you don't have a good, like I have a Dolby Vision HDR 4K television with surround sound. So for me, it's like okay, I'm getting the theater experience with my television. But if you have a small TV and you can only watch it without surround sound on your phone, then it is expensive. So it's just all about like what kind of system you have, you know? So okay, well, I guess look out for our next review for Contagion and Emma. We'll keep you guys posted what I have. I mean, I'm gonna see Trolls too. I love first Trolls. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That movie's hilarious. So I'm excited to see Trolls 2 World Tour, even if it is just released on video. I mean, for all I know, Universal could pull it because they don't want the theater chains mad at them.
Is that DreamWorks?
Yeah.
No, is it? No.
Yeah, Trolls is DreamWorks.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, here.
I'm pretty sure it is.
'20th Century Fox. It's not DreamWorks.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
Wait, you're right. It is. It is. It's
Yeah.
DreamWorks Animation So it's Disney.
No,
It all goes back to
DreamWorks.
Disney.
No, 20th Century Fox is now owned by Disney. That's why we got a Simpsons short with Onward. Remember?
Yep.
Wait, so it
Oh,
is?
shoot.
No, it can't be Disney.
Yeah.
But it's not under the Disney name. It's just
Oh,
owned
yeah.
by Disney.
Oh,
Disney
it's-
bought DreamWorks Animation because they bought 20th Century Fox. So it
They
is.
own
No.
no, they can't possibly
No
own
way.
DreamWorks now.
That's terrible.
If you go on Disney Plus, you can
That's-
watch
All this
all the
time.
Simpsons movies, guys, because it's owned by Disney.
You cannot watch DreamWorks movies on Disney Plus.
Somebody Google this for me if you're watching
No.
this. What is the rule here? Because 20th Century Fox was bought out by Disney. And Simpsons did have a short with Onward because it's 20th Century Fox, just like DreamWorks is 20th Century Fox. Where
I
where's
think
the line
DreamWorks is a
there?
separate thing from 20th Century Fox.
It might be. I'll have to Google it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, if DreamWorks owned Trolls, they would already have troll dolls sold all over the parks, and they don't. I
Probably.
think that they're under Universal Studios.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Anyways, that's our review, guys. Keep us posted. Send more suggestions. How did you guys feel about our first live episode over online?
This was awesome, guys. I kind of like it.
Just got to get
I-
Shannon headphones and a mic,
Yeah.
a decent one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I tried, and they died halfway through our first test run, so I gave up. But I did
Okay.
try, you guys.
We're gonna get you professional headphones like me and George's here, with the mic. It's gonna be a lot better. But you have a week to figure all that out. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Keep us posted. Give us more suggestions. We'll be at home watching more movies and TV shows. Me and Shannon did an early review for Lock and Key that I'm gonna put out there. So look out for that. And our next review will be Emma and Contagion. So we're excited to do those reviews. Take care, guys. Bye.